come up with an arrangement like that, but that still has the soldiers on the ground wearing a Ukrainian flag, not a French flag. But yeah, no, I heard that the 7 of them got killed. I heard that there's a number of them that are out there, a couple hundred that are on the front lines plugging. This is Macron's interim measure. So basically, he went to the French Foreign Legion and said, if you are foreigners and you're under a French contract, we are willing to, and I don't know the total deal, but I would imagine that you get sheep dipped, you go over, you fight for the Ukrainians, but the clock's still ticking for your French pension. And then when that's done, if you live, you come back, they reconvert you, you get credit for your time served, and your contract's maintained intact. Because otherwise, if I were a French Foreign Legionnaire, I wouldn't do it. Be like, wait a minute, I got a good deal here in France. I'm not going there without protection. It's the same thing when in Vietnam, back in the old Laos days, when they used to take Air Force officers and have them go off and fly, forward air controlling for the CIA in Laos. They sheep dipped them. They weren't Air Force officers anymore. They were CIA officers. But as soon as that tour ended, they went back to the Air Force, and the Air Force went, okay, you're back. You get credit for your time served. Your promotion didn't get cooked up. You did a good fitness report, and your career is made. I've known a number of Ravens, they called them, that had that happen to them because they wouldn't have signed up for the CIA and throw away an Air Force career. So the deal had to be made. I'm sure the French did that to send these guys in, but these aren't French Foreign Legionnaires.
This scenario that you've described, whereby Putin might use nuclear weapons, is this understood by General Brown, the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and by Secretary Austin, the Secretary of Defense?
Yes, but the question now is in the Defense Intelligence Agency, are they saying that Putin's bluffing? This is the key question of intent. And this is where the failure of the United States to engage with the Russians. There was a time when we had, we met with the Russian defense attaché. We met with the assistant defense attachés, both in Moscow, here in the United States. We had conversations. And this is the purpose of the defense attaché, to call up his counterpart and say, guys, this ain't a bluff. Okay, I know you got your politics, but this isn't a bluff. This is as serious as it gets. And it also allows American officers to sit down and go, hey, what's going on? What's your intentions? How can we nip this thing in the bud? We don't have any of that dialogue now. There's been no connectivity between our military officers and Russian military officers. There's absolute steel barrier there. And with that, now when you can't talk to the Russians, you don't know what they're thinking, so you start to speculate. And the longer you go, the more ridiculous your speculation gets. So right now, the guys that the State Department should be turning to, the foreign area officers who are supposed to be the experts, they say, what do the Russians think? And they go, we don't know, because we're not allowed to talk to them. We haven't been allowed to talk to them for over 2 years now. So they don't know.
All right. Switching gears to Israel and Gaza. Actually, to the domestic aspect of Israel and Gaza. Why is the government so forceful and enthusiastic about cracking down on the freedom of speech? What is the government afraid of?
Well, they're afraid of the truth, and they're afraid of they know for a fact that this is an issue that can rapidly spin out of control as far as the government's concerned. It's expanding across the campuses. There's a chance that once the school shut down, this will jump into the streets, and we'll have a long, hot summer of anti-genocidal stuff going on. And we're leading up to an election, and this is not the optics that the President of the United States wants to see. So they're doing this. And now, I mean, this is a question I have for you, because I've been, I've been strongly saying that this is a frontal assault on not just freedom of speech, but freedom of assembly. And I have people that are saying, no. They don't have freedom of assembly. They don't have freedom of speech rights. This isn't a constitutional issue. I believe it is, but you're the constitutional expert on this. Are these students in the faculty? Are they protected by First Amendment rights here, or is the school right in cracking down? That's a legal question, and I'm not a legal specialist.
They are out there not because they are pro-Hamas. They are out there because they are outraged by what the Israeli government is now doing in Gaza, which is bringing unbelievable harm, not just to the terrorist organization, to Hamas, but to the entire Palestinian people. And that's why these anti-war demonstrators are out there. They do not want to see a situation continue, where 110,000 Palestinians out of 5% of the population have been killed or wounded, where children now face starvation. Hundreds of thousands of children face starvation because Israel is refusing to allow humanitarian aid to get to where it has to go. Demonstrations is what, and the right to dissent, the right to protest, that is what the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States is all about. That's what, in fact, makes you a free country. Being a free country means that somebody goes out and demonstrates. You don't have to agree with them. They have the right. That's the difference between autocracy and dictatorship and a free country. But for anybody to suggest that we cannot be critical of the government of Israel or the government of Italy or the government of Ireland, for whatever reason, is not what democracy is about. So I happen to believe, not everybody agrees with me, that the war policies of the Netanyahu government are a disaster. They are causing unprecedented harm. They are in violation of international law and absolutely in violation of American law, by the way. But I think people who are critical, the idea that people who are critical of what Netanyahu is doing are anti-Semitic, that is nonsense, and that is a very, very dangerous line to cross in terms of freedom of expression in this country. I am thinking back, and other people are making this reference, that this may be Biden's Vietnam.
All right, so I'm having a problem with my camera, probably because I've been on all day, and that's all right, because you know what I look like, and everybody watching now knows what I look like. I think that was too little too late, but he's the only United States senator, the only member of the Congress that we've heard speaking that way.
Right. My only problem with what Bernie said, and I agree with everything he said there, is the way he starts. These students are not pro-Hamas. Bernie, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, free speech is free speech. It just so happens that Bernie, by saying they're not, pro-Hamas, that they're going against the policy of Netanyahu, that he morally can stand with them. But where would he be if they were saying they were pro-Hamas?
They have the right to be.
That's what I'm trying to. That's my point. Is that this is a free speech issue? It's not a free speech issue that is sugar-coated by saying, and it's a free speech and something that I agree with, that the Netanyahu government is genocidal and bad, and we need to oppose them. No, Bernie, it's a free speech issue. It's black and white, free speech. And there I agree with, but they're being shut down because it's private universities, except they take federal money. So but they're freedom of assembly issues. This is one of those areas where the police and the powers are. I love it when I say I love it, I hate it when somebody like Ben Sass, former senator from Nebraska, current president of University of Florida, is talking about how we love free speech and freedom of assembly, but we're not going to let them practice free speech and free assembly on our university because there are rules.
But why are they so afraid of free speech? Why was the crackdown so ferocious? The governor of Texas sent 100 Texas Rangers in on horseback. The president of the University of Texas hadn't even asked for that. The mayor of the city of New York was up there personally at Columbia University. There were 500 demonstrators and 1,000 police. They had a professor, an undercover professor, who was also works in New York City NYPD intelligence, spying on the students at Columbia, at Emory University. Two big, huge, thug, overweight, tattooed cops beat the daylights out of a female economics professor. Why the ferocity? Because of speech.
Well, it's not because of speech. It's because of the message. The United States is on the cusp of losing control of the pro-Israeli narrative. The pro-Israeli lobby has been very careful in how it's approached the Israeli issues, etc. They've tried to make Israel the 51st state. I know, I went to Israel everywhere. Every time there's a holiday, it's an Israeli flag out of one window, an American flag out of the other. We're like America. We're the same as America. We are America. And that's their thing. And right now, Americans are going, that ain't us. We're not genocidal. We're not doing that. We disagree with this so much. And this issue has the opportunity to transform American public opinion about Israel, which is why they have to nip this thing in the bud. This isn't about free speech or anything. This is about ensuring that an anti-Israeli narrative doesn't take hold in the American population in an election year where there are ramifications at the polls. So all of the people that are part of the establishment that the Israeli lobby has been lobbying, for so long, bought them out, paid for their elections, whatever. They're all saying we got to take control of this because this is our future. This is our political future. We have married into this pro-Israeli lobby, and now we have to step. Look what Congress just did, passing. And again, I'm not a legal scholar, but I mean, a simple reading of the First Amendment, Congress should not pass any laws that infringe on, the free speech and the free press. Congress just passed a law, an act that tries to tell me what anti-Semitism means.
Right. I'm sure that'll be invalidated by the courts, although it is repellent that Congress would do that. Switching gears to our last topic, what do you think about 12 thugs who would say in writing to a prosecutor, target Israel and we will target you. We will sanction your employees and your associates, bar you and your families from the United States. You have been warned.
Yeah, these aren't just thugs. These are United States senators, and every single one of them should be reprimanded. I don't know who, because one of them is, Mitch McConnell, who's retiring as the minority leader. But this is criminal on their part. This is not what the United States should be about. And frankly speaking, the president of the United States should chastise the Senate and tell them that you don't get to make policy. You can't warn anybody. You have no powers. Warn them. What are you going to do, Tom Cotton? What are you going to do, Mitch McConnell, Marsha Blackburn? What are you going to do? You can do nothing. It's the exclusive purview of the executive branch to make these decisions. Now, we will go to you for advice and consent, and where necessary, you will have to ratify decisions that the president makes. But these senators don't get to do this. This is the mafia. This is thug.
Wait a minute, Scott. The mafia would be smart enough not to put this in writing.
True. But where's Biden? That's what gets me, is Biden's silent on this. Literally, the president needs to step up and say, now, separations of powers, you guys are out of your box, get back in your box. You don't get to do this. You don't get. Now, there was a law that was passed that basically said that the International Criminal Court came after American service members, et cetera, that we would take appropriate actions. But what these guys have done is unilaterally extend the meaning of that law to say that Israel is the same as America. Israel is not the same as America. Israel is a foreign nation. It is a totally different state, which is right now committing genocide. And we ourselves recognize that what they're doing is wrong. So these senators are insane, and they should be chastised. They should be reprimanded, and they should be put back in their box, because if they don't, it's just, again, an example of America spinning out of control because of poor leadership in the White House.
Scott, I'm going to have to go because of this camera issue. We got to figure out what it is. But thank you very much for your time, my dear friend. Thank you for your analysis. Thank you for your passion. I'm off to Italy, but we'll see you next week, my man.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Of course. Camera will be fixed. Coming up at 5:30 Eastern, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.